Do you feel it? The slow, creeping exhaustion that settles in your bones after a simple conversation. It's the emotional hangover from being twisted, guilted, and pressured into a corner you never wanted to be in. You walk away from a talk with a family member, a partner, or a boss, feeling drained, confused, and angry at yourself. You gave in again. You apologized for something that wasn't your fault. You sacrificed your own peace for a moment of their quiet. A quiet that never lasts. This isn't just a bad day, warrior. This is a war being waged inside your own mind, and you are losing battle by agonizing battle. You are a resource being plundered, an emotional well for others to drink from until you are nothing but dust. The enemy's voice is so familiar because it has been programmed into you. It whispers, "If you really loved me, you would do this." It lectures, "A good son, daughter, employee would understand." It sighs, "I guess my feelings just don't matter to you." This is the poison of the emotional manipulator, and your empathy has been turned into the open wound where they inject it. They have trained you to believe that their feelings are your responsibility, that their happiness is a debt you must pay. This is the great lie that has you shackled. The world has told you to be kind, to be giving, to be empathetic, but it never taught you how to build a fortress around your mind. It never gave you the weapons to defend yourself against those who see your kindness, not as a virtue, but as a weakness to be exploited. And so you live on a battlefield of your own making. You rehearse conversations in your head, trying to find the perfect words to explain yourself without causing an explosion. You walk on eggshells, constantly scanning for the shift in tone, the passive-aggressive comment, the manufactured crisis designed to pull your strings. You've become a puppet, and you hate the puppeteer, but you hate the puppet yourself even more. The cost of this inaction is the slow annihilation of your soul. Your own dreams, your own desires, your own needs are buried so deep beneath the weight of other people's expectations that you can no longer remember what they were. You're becoming a ghost in your own life, a hollow shell living in servitude to the emotional whims of others. But what if I told you there was a code? A set of brutal, unyielding principles forged in the fire of the Roman Empire by a man who ruled the world, yet was tormented by betrayal, loss, and the weakness of others. What if I told you Marcus Aurelius left behind an arsenal of mental weapons, cognitive armor, designed specifically to shatter emotional manipulation and make your mind an impenetrable fortress? This isn't about learning clever comebacks. This is about forging a new operating system for your mind, one where their emotional attacks don't just bounce off, they don't even register as a threat. This is the path of the Stoic warrior, the path to reclaiming the territory of your own soul. Before we forge the first piece of this armor, you must prove you are ready for the discipline it requires. Warriors do not enter the arena half-committed. Prove it now. Subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. This is not for me. It is your first declaration of war against your own weakness. Then go to the comments and write your shield phrase, the first line of defense you will build today. It can be as simple as, "My mind is my own," or "I am not responsible for their storm." This is your oath. Your first conscious act of rebellion against the tyranny of other people's feelings. Do it now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the hammer and the steel. I will reveal the 5 brutal phrases of Marcus Aurelius that will become your cognitive armor. We will not talk about philosophy, we will forge weapons. Each phrase is a shield, each one is a sword. Together, they will give you the power to stand firm in the face of emotional blackmail, to reclaim your peace, and to finally silence the voice that tells you that you are selfish for wanting a life of your own. The forging begins now. Pay attention. Let's be brutally honest about what this is. This isn't a personality trait. It's not being too nice. It is a disease of the will, a spiritual sickness. You have allowed a parasite to fester in your mind. The belief that the emotional comfort of others is more important than your own mental sovereignty. You choose the momentary peace of surrender over the difficult, necessary war of setting a boundary. This is not empathy, warrior. This is cowardice dressed in the borrowed robes of virtue. Each time you say yes when your soul screams no, you feed this parasite. You trade a piece of your life force for a moment of quiet, a temporary ceasefire in a war that they will always restart, because they know you will always surrender. Look at what this sickness is doing to your body. Feel the tension that lives permanently in your shoulders and jaw. That isn't stress, it's the physical manifestation of 1,000 unspoken truths, 1,000 swallowed resentments. Your stomach churns not from bad food, but from the dread of an upcoming conversation you know will be another negotiation for your soul. You are exhausted, but you haven't moved a muscle. This is the deep, cellular fatigue that comes from running a constant, silent war against yourself. Your body is the battlefield, and your refusal to fight. The real enemy, your own weakness, is tearing it apart from the inside out. It is screaming for you to draw a line in the sand, but your mind refuses to listen. Now watch how this poison seeps into your work. You are the reliable one, the team player. These are the labels they give to the beast of burden. You take on the extra project. You absorb the blame for another's mistake. You stay late while others go home to their lives. Your boss knows you are an easy mark. They can leverage your fear of conflict, dressing up exploitation as opportunity and dedication. You are trading your ambition for the cheap currency of their approval. You are not climbing a ladder, you are digging a trench. A trench where you will bury your potential, your goals and your self-respect, all for the fleeting comfort of being seen as agreeable. And your relationships? This is where the infection becomes septic. The person who is supposed to be your partner has become your warden. They have mapped every one of your emotional weak points and they press them with surgical precision. Affection is conditional. Peace is a reward for compliance. They have trained you to anticipate their moods, to walk on eggshells, to preemptively surrender your own needs, to avoid their displeasure, their silent treatment, their tactical emotional outbursts. This is not a partnership. It is a tyranny of two, and you have handed them the crown. You live in a constant state of low-grade anxiety, mistaking the absence of their anger for the presence of love. The original wound, of course, is family. This is where you first learned the lie, where love and obligation were forged into the same chain. The guilt is a language you were taught from birth. After all we've done for you is the opening salvo in a battle you have never been allowed to win. You sacrifice your time, your money, your own life's path to appease them, to maintain a fragile peace that is nothing more than your silent submission. You attend the gathering you dread. You give the loan you cannot afford. You swallow the criticism that chokes you, all because the thought of their disapproval feels more terrifying than the slow death of your own spirit. Here is the raw, ugly truth you have been avoiding, warrior. You do this because you're addicted to their validation. You have outsourced your sense of self-worth. Their approval is the drug, and you are the addict who will do anything for the next hit. You fear being called selfish more than you fear the reality of becoming a hollow shell. But you must understand, they do not value you. They value your function. They value your pliability. They value the fact that when they push, you fall. Your kindness, your empathy. These are not what they cherish. These are the handles they use to control you. The world offers you cheap, useless solutions. Set boundaries, they chirp, without teaching you how to build the wall. Cut toxic people out, they advise, as if you can simply amputate your own mother or the person who signs your paycheck. This is the advice of children. It is a fantasy that avoids the real work. The problem is not the existence of emotional vampires. The world will always have monsters. The problem is that you have left the gates to your city wide open and invited them in for a feast. We are not here to run. We are not here to hide. We are here to change the very ground of the battlefield. We are here to forge a mind so strong, so sovereign, that their poison becomes nothing more than water against steel. This is not a new war, warrior. You are not the first to feel this drain, this soul sickness. You think your pain is unique, a special product of this modern, emotionally fragile age. That is a lie. The Stoics, the old masters of the mind, diagnosed this disease 2,000 years ago. They saw it in the courts of Rome, in the marketplaces of Athens, in the barracks of the legions. They called it a failure of judgment, a corruption of the soul's ruling faculty. You are not too empathetic. You are suffering from an undisciplined mind that cannot distinguish between what is yours and what is not. Your enemy has convinced you that their feelings, their perceptions, their emotional storms are your property. The Stoics knew this was the foundational error of a life lived in servitude. Epictetus, a slave who became one of history's most formidable thinkers, laid down the law with brutal simplicity. Some things are within our control and some are not. Within your control are your thoughts, your judgments, your choices. Outside of your control, everything else. That includes the thoughts, judgments, and choices of other people. Their anger is not in your control. Their disappointment is not in your control. Their happiness is not in your control. The emotional manipulator's entire strategy is to shatter this sacred law. They are a terrorist of the soul, trying to make you believe that their inner world, a realm entirely outside your jurisdiction, is your direct responsibility. Every time you accept this premise, you surrender the only power you truly have. You abandon the fortress of your own mind to go fight a battle on their territory, a battle you are guaranteed to lose. This is why Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, spent his nights writing not about conquering nations, but about conquering himself. His meditations are a testament to this eternal war. He was surrounded by a court of vipers, schemers, flatterers, and emotional leeches who wanted a piece of his power, his attention, his very soul. He understood that the true empire was not the one mapped on parchment, but the one within his own skull. He called it the Inner Citadel, a place of reason and tranquility that no external event and no person's opinion could ever breach. You feel drained because you have no citadel, you have no walls. Your mind is an open field where any passing army of opinion or emotional demand can set up camp and plunder your resources at will. The philosopher Seneca called this what it is, slavery. You have willingly placed your own tranquility in the hands of another. You check their mood before you decide on your own. You measure your words not for their truth, but for their effect on the fragile sensibilities of your warden. You live in a state of preemptive surrender. The manipulator doesn't even have to issue a threat. You've already internalized their desires and policed yourself on their behalf. This is the most pathetic form of bondage because the chains are forged from your own desperate need for their approval. They don't respect you for this. How could they? You have demonstrated that your own peace is for sale and the price is cheap. They value your utility, not your humanity. The core of their strategy is to corrupt your understanding of virtue. They have taught you that goodness is compliance, that love is the complete annihilation of your own boundaries, that strength is the ability to absorb their emotional poison without complaint. This is a perversion of reality. The Stoics defined virtue with the clarity of cold steel, courage to face reality without flinching, temperance to control your own impulses, not the emotions of others, justice to give each person their due, and that includes giving yourself the justice of a sovereign mind, and wisdom, the ability to see things as they are, not as your fears or their demands paint them. You're not being virtuous when you surrender, warrior. You're abandoning the entire field of virtue for the coward's comfort of a temporary truce. Understand this. You are fighting the same ghosts that haunted the ancients. The guilt-tripping mother of a Roman senator used the same tactics as yours, only in Latin. The manipulative boss of a Greek shipbuilder used the same blend of flattery and pressure as yours. The emotionally volatile partner has existed since the first man and woman looked at each other and saw a weakness to exploit. The tools may change, a text message instead of a parchment scroll, a passive-aggressive email instead of a whispered rumor in the forum, but the spiritual poison is identical. Your battle is not small or personal. It is epic. It is the timeless struggle of reason against chaos, of the individual against the herd, of the sovereign mind against the emotional vampire. This diagnosis is not meant to comfort you. It is meant to arm you. Until now, you were fighting a shadow. You thought the enemy was a person, a relationship, a situation. You were wrong. The enemy is a philosophical error. It is the lie you accepted, that your inner peace can be dictated by an external force. To know this is to finally have the enemy in your sights. We have identified the disease. We have traced its lineage back through the centuries. We have unmasked its methods. Now, and only now, can we begin to forge the weapons that will eradicate it. The phrases of Marcus Aurelius are not mere words. They are the antidote. They are the steel that will finally reinforce the broken walls of your inner citadel. Prepare yourself. The true forging is about to begin. Here is the first piece of steel we will forge. It is not a suggestion. It is not a helpful tip. It is the first brutal law of the Stoic warrior. And from this day forward, it is as real and as unyielding as gravity. You will learn it, you will internalize it, and you will live by it. Or you will remain a slave. The law is this: their feelings are not yours. They are not your property to manage, not your debt to pay, not your mess to clean up. Their anger, their disappointment, their sadness, their manufactured despair, it is all generated inside the sovereign territory of their own mind. It is a product of their judgments, their expectations, their own undisciplined thoughts. You have no more control over their emotional weather than you have over a hurricane forming 1,000 miles away. To believe otherwise is not empathy, it is insanity. The emotional vampire's entire strategy, their whole pathetic war, is built on destroying this one single truth. They are masters of psychological trespassing. They take their internal chaos, their fear, their insecurity, their bottomless need, and they package it as an external problem that you, and only you, are obligated to solve. Their sadness becomes your guilt, their anger becomes your fear, their expectations become your duties. They have trained you to see the border between your mind and theirs, not as a fortified wall, but as an open gate. They dump their toxic waste in your territory and then have the audacity to blame you for the stench. Every time you rush to soothe them, to manage their mood, to apologize for an offense you did not commit, you are validating their delusion. You are teaching them that their strategy works. Let's make this brutally simple. Imagine your mind is a plot of land. It is your sovereign territory. You are responsible for what you grow there, for keeping it fertile, for defending its borders. The manipulator is the neighbor who constantly throws their trash over your fence, their passive-aggressive comments, their guilt trips, their dramatic sighs. This is their garbage. For years, you have not only allowed this, you have dutifully walked out, picked up their trash, carried it into your own home, and tried to figure out what you did to make them throw it. You have abandoned the cultivation of your own garden to become the unpaid, unappreciated garbage collector for theirs. This law is the act of building a wall so high and so strong that their trash simply bounces off. It is the realization that their mess is, and always will be, their problem. This isn't a philosophical abstraction, warrior. This is a physical reality. The tension in your neck is the weight of their unmanaged anger. The acid in your stomach is the dread of their next emotional outburst. The exhaustion that seeps into your bones is the cellular cost of trying to perform the impossible task of controlling another person's inner world. You are carrying a burden that was never yours to carry, and it is crushing you. Your body is keeping a perfect score of every time you have violated this law. It is screaming at you to put the weight down. It knows what your conditioned mind refuses to accept, that you are engaged in a futile war on a foreign battlefield, using your own life force as ammunition. And for what? For the temporary, illusory peace of a tyrant's smile. So we forge the first piece of cognitive armor, the first shield. It is simple, it is steel, and it is unbreakable. You will burn this into your mind until it is as reflexive as breathing. When the attack comes, the guilt trip, the silent treatment, the accusation, this phrase will rise from your subconscious and form an impenetrable barrier. Repeat it now, internally. Feel its weight. Your emotion is your responsibility. My response is mine. This is not a denial of their feeling. It is a declaration of jurisdiction. It acknowledges that their storm exists, but it firmly establishes that it exists over there. It is their weather, in their world. Your responsibility is not to stop their reign. It is to master your own response to it. This shield is not a weapon to be wielded outwardly. Saying this phrase to a manipulator is a rookie mistake. It is an invitation to argue, to escalate. Oh, so you're saying my feelings don't matter? I can't believe how cold you've become. Do you see the trap? They will use your words to create a new piece of emotional garbage to throw over the fence. No, this armor is silent. It is internal. It is the thought you hold in your mind as you look at them calmly. It is the bedrock of reason upon which you stand while their storm rages. You don't need to announce the existence of your fortress. You simply need to inhabit it. Let them exhaust themselves against its walls. Their tactics only work on a mind that agrees to be a participant. This phrase is your official resignation from the game. The moment you truly internalize this law, the entire power dynamic shifts. It is instantaneous. Their power was never in their anger or their tears. It was in your willingness to accept those things as your fault. It was in your panicked rush to fix what was never broken, only deployed as a tactic. By reclaiming sovereignty over your own mind and recognizing theirs, you neutralize their greatest weapon. They can no longer make their internal state your problem. They are left alone with their own feelings, forced to deal with them for the first time, perhaps ever. They may escalate. They may scream louder, but it will feel different to you. It will be the sound of a distant storm, not a bomb going off in your own house. You will have taken the first, most critical step from being a puppet to becoming a warrior. Now, we take the steel from the fire. Knowing the law is worthless. A map is just paper until your boots are on the ground. The forge is not a library, warrior. It is a place of impact, of heat, and of transformation. This is where the abstract principle becomes living armor on your skin. We are going to walk through the fire of your daily life, and I will show you, step by brutal step, how to wield this shield. This is not practice. This is war. Every interaction from this moment forward is a chance to hammer this new reality into your very soul. Pay attention, because the enemy will test you, and they will test you immediately. The first test will come from family. It always does. The phone buzzes. It's a message from your mother, your brother, your cousin. It's the familiar blend of passive aggression and feigned helplessness. We were all hoping you'd be able to lend us that money. I guess we'll just have to figure something else out. It's just so hard right now. Or, it would mean the world to your father if you came to the dinner on Sunday. We never see you. It's like you don't care about this family anymore. Feel that? The old programming kicking in, the immediate clench in your gut, the frantic search for an excuse that won't cause an explosion, the wave of guilt. This is the moment of truth. The old you would crumble. You would type out a long, apologetic explanation. You would sacrifice your budget or your one day of peace on the altar of their approval. But the warrior does not do this. You breathe. You let. The emotional storm rage in their world. Internally, the shield rises. Their disappointment is their responsibility. My response is mine. And your reply is calm, brief, and absolute. I understand this is difficult, but I won't be able to lend the money. Or, I won't be able to make it on Sunday, but I hope you all have a great time. No apology, no justification. You are not a defendant in the court of their emotions. You are a sovereign state. This is the first taste of freedom, and it will feel like ice and fire in your veins. The next attack will come at work. It will be late in the day. Your boss will approach with that false, urgent camaraderie. Hey, I know it's late, but I really need you to stay and finish this proposal. The team is counting on you. You're the only one I can trust to get this done right. It's a classic pincer movement, flattery and pressure. They are leveraging your desire to be seen as competent and your fear of being seen as not a team player. The old. You would sigh, cancel your plans, and resign yourself to another night of unpaid service, fueled by stale coffee and resentment. Your own life, your family, your health, all secondary to their manufactured crisis. But now, the shield goes up. Silently, you think, their lack of planning is not my emergency. You look them in the eye, your posture calm and solid. You do not give excuses about dinner plans or appointments. That invites negotiation. You state a simple professional fact. I can give this my full attention first thing in the morning. You have not been difficult. You have not been emotional. You have simply enforced the border of your own time and energy. You have taught them, without a single word of confrontation, that you are a resource to be respected, not a well to be drained. Then comes the most intimate battle, the partner. The air in the room grows cold. You did something for yourself. You went out with a friend. You started a new hobby. You simply said no to something they wanted. Now you face the silent treatment, the weapon of choice for the sophisticated tyrant. Or perhaps it's the direct assault. You clearly don't care about my feelings at all. I feel so alone in this relationship. This is the nuclear weapon of emotional manipulation, designed to trigger your deepest fears of abandonment and inadequacy. Your instinct is to rush in, to placate, to apologize, to prove your love through submission. You would beg for a list of your crimes and promise to do better. This is slavery. The warrior stands firm. The armor is in place. This emotional storm is theirs to navigate. My peace is mine to protect. You do not engage the drama. You do not argue. You give them space for their storm, but you do not allow it into your citadel. You say calmly, "It sounds like you're very upset right now. When you're ready to talk about it calmly, I'm here to listen." You have refused to be a participant in the chaos. You have offered connection, but on the terms of reason, not emotional blackmail. You will be stunned at how quickly the storm passes when it has no audience. But the most dangerous manipulator, the most insidious and relentless enemy you will ever face, lives between your own ears. It is that soft, weak voice that whispers, "I'll start tomorrow." The voice that tells you to hit the snooze button, to skip the workout, to eat the junk food, to avoid the difficult conversation. This voice is the internal echo of every manipulator who has ever controlled you, because it operates on the same principle. Sacrifice long-term strength for short-term comfort. You cannot stand against a tyrant in your living room if you cannot defeat the tyrant in your own mind. The forging of this armor must be turned inward. When that voice whispers for comfort, your shield must rise. Discipline is freedom. Weakness is a cage. You get out of bed. You do the work. You eat the clean meal. You honor the promises you make to yourself. Every time. You choose the hard right over the easy wrong. You are hammering your own soul into the shape of a weapon. You are proving to yourself that your will is sovereign, first over your own impulses and then, and only then, over the influence of others. This armor is not just for conflict, it is for life's brutal, unavoidable pain. The day will come when you face a true storm, not a manufactured one, a real loss, a real failure, the doctor's call, the pink slip, the empty side of the bed. In these moments, the world will not be manipulating you. It will simply be what it is, harsh and indifferent. The untrained mind collapses here. It conflates the event with the meaning. It says, "This terrible thing happened, therefore my life is over. I am ruined." This is the ultimate lie. The Stoic warrior, clad in this armor, sees with brutal clarity. The shield rises, not against a person, but against despair itself. The event is a fact. My response is my choice. Pain is inevitable. It is the rain. Falling, but suffering, the story you tell yourself about the rain, is a choice. You can choose to drown in it, or you can choose to learn from it, to endure it, to let it wash you clean and forge you into something harder, something stronger. The armor allows you to feel the full force of the pain without letting it break your spirit. This is the moment the key turns in the lock, warrior. This is the revelation that shatters the entire game. You suddenly see it with blinding clarity. The manipulator's power was never real. It was a performance, a carefully crafted illusion that required one thing to succeed: your belief in it. Their anger, their guilt, their tears. It was all a stage play, and you were the audience and the lead actor, playing the part of the guilty, apologetic servant. The moment you stop playing your part, the entire production collapses. They are left alone on stage, shouting their lines into an empty theater. Their power does not reside in them. It resided in your reaction. You were the source of their control. By reclaiming your mind, by standing within your inner citadel and simply observing their storm without participating, you have cut the strings. They can no longer make you dance. That day, you didn't learn how to outsmart a manipulator. You learned the brutal truth. You cannot manipulate a mind that refuses to be a participant in the lie. And then what happens? After the storm of their anger breaks against the walls of your new mind, what is left? Silence. But this is not the silence you knew before. The old silence was a weapon they used against you, a cold, tense void filled with unspoken threats and your own frantic anxiety. You would rush to fill it with apologies, with concessions, with anything to make the noise of their displeasure stop. This new silence is different. It is the silence of sovereignty. It is the calm, clean air after a fever breaks. It is the vast, quiet expanse of a territory you have finally reclaimed. For the first time, you can hear your own thoughts without the screaming static of their emotional demands. This quiet is not a void to be filled. It is the foundation upon which you will build your new life. Look in the mirror, warrior. Look at your own body. The permanent knot of tension that lived between your shoulder blades, the one that felt like you were carrying the weight of the world. It has dissolved. The tightness in your jaw from 1,000 unspoken truths has relaxed. You sleep through the night, a deep, restorative sleep, because your subconscious is no longer running war simulations for the next day's inevitable conflict. This is not a placebo effect. This is physiology. You have removed the source of a chronic, low-grade poison from your system. The constant drip of cortisol and adrenaline that came from walking on eggshells has ceased. Your body is no longer a battlefield for a war you were fighting against yourself. It is a fortress at peace, finally channeling its energy, not into defense, but into strength, vitality, and purpose. Let's be brutally clear. you will lose people. When you cease to be a pliable, predictable source of emotional and practical supply, the parasites will detach. They have to. They cannot feed on steel. At first, this will feel like a loss. It will trigger the old programming, the fear of abandonment. But you must see this for what it is, a purification. The fire of your new discipline is a purifying flame that burns away everything that is not real. The friends who only called in a crisis, the family members who only knew how to take, the partner whose affection was a transaction, they will fall away. And in their place, a new reality will emerge. The people who remain, the ones who were drawn to your light and not your utility, will respect your new strength. Your real relationships will not be weakened by your boundaries. They will be forged into something deeper, more honest, and more powerful than you ever imagined possible. With the noise gone and the parasite starved, something you haven't seen in years begins to emerge from the rubble. You, the person you were before you learned that your needs were a burden. The dreams you buried because they were inconvenient for someone else. The hobbies you abandoned because they took time away from serving your warden. You start to hear a quiet voice, your own, asking a simple question. What do I want? Not what will make them happy, not what will keep the peace, but what is my path? You begin to make small choices, then larger ones, based on your own values, your own reason. You are no longer a ship being tossed around by the storms of other people's desires. You are the captain, your hand firm on the tiller, your eyes fixed on a horizon of your own choosing. This is not selfishness. It is the fundamental responsibility of a sovereign soul. Your entire perception of the world shifts. Before, every interaction was a potential threat. Every conversation a tightrope walk over a pit of conflict. You saw the world as a minefield of emotional triggers. Now you see an arena. A difficult conversation with your boss is no longer a source of dread. It is an opportunity to practice clarity and courage. A passive-aggressive comment from a relative is not a personal attack that ruins your day. It is merely data, the predictable noise of an undisciplined mind, and it has no power to breach your citadel. You stop walking on eggshells and start walking on solid ground. You move through the world with a calm, centered gravity, and people can feel it. They sense that your yes is a real yes, and your no is an unbreakable wall. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are a student of reality, learning, growing, and strengthening your will with every challenge the world presents. This is the ultimate outcome, warrior. It's not about winning arguments or controlling others. It is the forging of an unshakable self-respect. You were an addict, hooked on the cheap, fleeting drug of their approval. You would trade your soul for a hit of good job or you're so thoughtful. Now, you are clean. The only approval you require is your own. This new respect is not born of arrogance, but of evidence. It is earned in the fire of 100 small daily choices, the decision to hold your boundary, to speak your truth, to honor the promise you made to yourself. It is the quiet, humming power of a sovereign mind that knows its own worth, not because someone else assigned it, but because it has been tested and proven in the arena of life. This is the steel in your spine that allows you to stand straight, look anyone in the eye, and exist without apology. But do not mistake this new peace for a final victory. The war is never over. The forge is never cold. This new identity is not a trophy to be placed on a shelf. It is a standard to be upheld every single day. The world will continue to test your walls. New manipulators will appear, drawn to your light, probing for the old cracks in your armor. Your own internal weakness, the ghost of the coward you once were, will whisper to you in moments of fatigue, begging for the easy path of surrender. Your discipline must be relentless. Your practice must be constant. You are not the person who survived the storm. You are the warrior who learned to become the storm, a force of reason, integrity, and absolute will. This is your new reality. Live it, defend it, honor it. Talk is the cheapest currency in the world, warrior. Philosophy is smoke. The principles we have forged are worthless until they are hammered into your daily existence. A sword hanging on a wall is a decoration. A sword swung every single morning, cutting the air, becomes an extension of your arm. Your mind is that sword. Until now, it has been dull, rusted, and used against you. We are about to change that. This is not a suggestion. This is your new law. This is the ritual that will turn the cognitive armor from a concept into your very skin. It is called the morning muster, and it is the most important 60 seconds of your day. Here are the orders. The moment your feet touch the floor in the morning, before the phone, before the coffee, before the noise of the world can infect your mind, you will stand. You will not sit. You will not be comfortable. This is not meditation. It is a declaration of war. You will stand in front of a mirror and you will look yourself in the eye. You will see the warrior you are forging. Your shoulders will be back. Your jaw will be set. You will breathe in and you will begin. This first minute of consciousness is the most fertile ground for programming your mind. You will seize it. You will fortify it before the first enemy scout has even crossed the horizon. You will speak the 5 laws of the Citadel aloud, not in your head. Your voice has power over your own mind. Let your own ears hear the commands. Speak them with the force of a commander issuing orders to a legion. The first law: their feelings are not my facts. The second: my peace is not for sale. The third: discipline is my freedom. The fourth: this event has no power over my mind. And the fifth, the foundation of it all: my response is my responsibility. You will say them slowly, deliberately. You are not reciting a poem, you are engraving steel. This is the sound of your new operating system booting up. This is not a mindless affirmation. With each law, you will run a combat simulation in your mind. As you say, their feelings are not my facts, you will visualize a family member's guilt trip dissolving into meaningless static before it reaches you. As you say, my peace is not for sale, you will see your boss's unreasonable demand bounce off an invisible shield of force around you. You must see it. You must feel it. You are training your mind to recognize an attack not as a crisis to be managed, but as a predictable tactic that has already been neutralized. You are building the muscle memory of the soul so that in the heat of battle, you do not have to think. You simply act. You simply are. Why does this work? Because it is a preemptive strike. You are arming your subconscious before the day's battles have even begun. The emotional manipulator relies on the element of surprise. They count on your knee-jerk reaction of guilt, fear, and compliance. The morning muster robs them of this. When the attack comes later in the day, the response is no longer a conscious, difficult choice. It is a reflex. The shield is already up. Your mind, preloaded with these laws, will automatically categorize their tactic not as a personal failing on your part, but as an external event, a piece of data to be observed calmly without emotional investment. You will have already won the war before the first shot is even fired. Your weakness is screaming at you right now. It is whispering, "This is silly. I'll start tomorrow." That is the voice of the slave. The warrior acts now. I want you to pause, right now, stand up, find your reflection, and do it. Recite the 5 laws, feel the awkwardness, feel the resistance. That is the feeling of your old self dying. This is your first real act of discipline. This is the first brick you will lay in the foundation of your new life. Do not read another word until you have done it. The forge is hot. The hammer is in your hand. Strike now. You have walked through the fire. We have taken the raw ore of your pain and hammered it into steel. The laws are simple because truth is simple. Their feelings are not your facts. Their chaos is not your storm to calm. Your peace is not a commodity to be traded for their temporary approval. These are not just words, warrior. This is the new physics of your world. It is the code that governs the unbreakable mind. You are no longer navigating a world of emotional minefields. You are the master of an impenetrable fortress, and its name is your own soul. You have been given the keys to the citadel. Understand what you have become. You are not the person who walked into this forge. That person was a ghost, a hollow shell animated by the desires and demands of others. That person is dead. In their place stands a sentinel, a gatekeeper. You are the one who decides what enters the sovereign territory of your mind. You are the one who distinguishes between the weather of the world and the climate of your own soul. The manipulators will still come. The storms will still rage, but they will find no purchase. They will break against walls they cannot see, repelled by a calm they cannot comprehend. This is the quiet power of the Stoic warrior. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the real war, the daily war. Freedom is not a destination, it is a discipline. The morning muster is not a ritual for a week, it is the rest of your life. Every sunrise is a call to arms, a command to reforge your armor, to recite the laws, to remind the coward within, you who is now in command. Do not get complacent. Do not believe you have arrived. The moment you stop swinging the hammer is the moment the rust begins to creep back in. This strength was earned in the fire, and it is maintained in the fire, every single day. So I leave you with your final decree. This is the law that supersedes all others. This is the thought you will hold when the world tests you, when your own weakness whispers for you to surrender. Burn it into your mind until it is the only truth that remains. Your decree is this: I am not a participant. I am not a participant in their drama. I am not a participant in their guilt. I am not a participant in their manufactured crises. I am an observer of their storm and the sovereign of my own peace. That is the final key. The entire game of manipulation requires your participation. Withdraw it, and their power evaporates into nothing. If this battle has ignited a fire in you, warrior, then prove it. Go to the comments now and write the one phrase that will guide your next 24 hours, your decree, your shield. Make it your oath. Share this call to arms with another warrior who needs to awaken. And subscribe to this channel to continue forging your mind. The discipline is daily. We will see you in the arena.